A lot of people don't actually invest in themselves because they don't feel like they're actually worth investing in. That's sick. It's man. What is it going to take for me to become someone I've never been before? Well, I'll tell you one thing. You got to do you never done before. Are you understanding? You are worthy of success. I'm talking to you. I'm talking to the one that doesn't feel like they're good enough. I'm talking to the one that feels like, success is for some other people. You were born with greatness. Are you ready to awaken to your greatness? Are you ready to live your best life? Are you ready to awaken to your greatness? Are you ready to live your best life? Assume the wish fulfilled, something that I learned from Dr. Wayne Dyer. Welcome to the Luke Mind Power podcast, wherever you're tuning in from. If you're on Facebook, if you're on Instagram, if you're on TikTok, if you are on YouTube, if you are on Rumble, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, Audible, Apple Podcasts, Spotify is in the building. Luke Mind Power is in the building. And if you're watching right now, make sure you put your name in the chat because you're in the building as well. And what is this building? Yeah, well, this is the building of love. This is the building of positivity. This is the building of empowerment. This is the building of motivation, inspiration. This is the building of you stepping into your power and living your dreams, not your fears, ladies and gentlemen, because there's a lot of fear out there. There's a lot of uncertainty out there. But you know what? Life is uncertain. Get it through your thick skull. That you don't know when it's time for you to go, but if you don't start living now and taking some risks and taking action and saying yes and giving yourself permission, a lot of us don't actually invest in ourselves because we don't feel that we're worthy of it. We don't feel that we're worthy. I've had a lot of people as I, build my coaching programs and help people to become coaches and help people to heal their childhood trauma. A lot of people don't actually invest in themselves because they don't feel like they're actually worth investing in. They don't actually want to pay the $3,000, $5,000, $10,000 to invest in themselves to get the transformation in themselves because they don't feel that they're worthy of investing in. Ooh, that's sick. Man, that's why I'm here, to keep empowering you until you get to the point where you go, I've got to do something. If you need to do something, because not everybody does. If you can figure, because it's all up to you. You know yourself better than I do. I don't know you better than you do. So stop telling and thinking that possibly I'm going to be the answer to the things that you need to do. No, you always have the answers within you. And it's just up to you to make some decisions, to do some research, to figure out what is it going to take for me to level up? What is it going to take for me to become a better version of myself? What is it going to take for me to get out of my own way? What is it going to take for me to heal and overcome the past? Up to you. What is it going to take for me to step into a new reality? What is it going to take for me to become someone I've never been before? Well, I'll tell you one thing. You got to do you never done before. Pause for reflection. Na, 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 na. Come on, let's sing with me. Na, 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 na. Sha, 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 sha. La, 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 la. You know what I'm trying to say? Do you know what I'm trying to say, ladies and gentlemen? Are you listening? Are you understanding? You are worthy of success. I'm talking to you. I'm talking to the one that doesn't feel like they're good enough. I'm talking to the one that feels like, success is bullshit. It's for some other people. Bullshit. You were born with greatness, okay? You were born with something inside of you that just doesn't want to give up. And it's about time that you step up and you start holding on to that belief that there is something in you that you just don't know yet. And if you don't give yourself permission and you don't say yes to yourself from the conscious mind, from the mind that is powerful enough to be able to go, let me do some research. Let me figure some things out. Let me ask some questions. And then let me make a decision from the present moment and the information that I have received, not from the fear and the subconscious programming of the lack of trust in other people, because we've been manipulated and over from other people in our life that we allowed in our life. Not that we necessarily were asking to be manipulated or taken advantage of, but guess what? It just so happened for 5 or 10 years. And all of a sudden, we've lost trust in others because we let one person us over. And we tried to leave. I'm talking to you guys that are in those relationships, or maybe you just left relationship. The relationship where someone else keeps abusing you. The relationship where someone keeps using you. The relationship where you keep allowing something, not that you necessarily want to, but you feel stuck. You know, you feel stuck and you want to leave, but it's hard because maybe you're not in control of the finances and you're like, if I leave, how am I going to survive? How am I going to put food in my mouth? How am I going to feed the kids? I get ya. If that's you, I get ya. But guess what? Eventually, you got to make some changes. And I'm here as a beacon of light. I'm here to speak some words into your soul. I'm here to plant some good seeds. Because you know what? Maybe change isn't something that happens to you now. Maybe you're meant to listen to this podcast and you're like, oh my gosh, I love listening to Luke. He cracks me up. I love his motivation, love his inspiration, but ain't no ready for doing no work on me yet. But I'll just keep listening to Luke. There's many people like that. The amount of lots of people that have joined my coaching programs and they're like, I've been listening to you for 2 years, you know? And it takes time before you do something. Could be working with me, could be working with someone else. Maybe you won't even work with anyone. And you go, man, where was your transformation from? I just listened to podcasts and motivational speakers, Luke Mind Power, and I changed my life, you know? Because I got to tell you something, to be honest, guys. You know, I wasn't this personal development, self-help junkie, to be frank. I know who Frank is, but somehow it came into this bloody sentence. I just want to be frank. I don't want to be Frank. I'm Luke. To be frank. Who said it? It's funny. My middle name is Francis. My parents are like Franciszek, Francisco, Francis, Frank, right? To be frank. Because let me give you like an overview of what I did for myself to help me to grow, become a better version of myself. Okay. It wasn't that I didn't invest in myself. It is that I actually did, because I was like, I need to do something to get better. Who can I learn from? Let me tell you something. The best thing you can ever do in your life is learn from someone that you think inspires you, that you feel inspires you. Learn from someone that you feel can help you, that you feel you have a connection with, right? So for me, the first person that I had a connection with, Lisa Nichols. Go type in Lisa Nichols and go listen to some of her videos on YouTube. That's the first person. So I was on this mission to open a gym in Poland. I was on a mission because I was like, I need to move from Australia. I want to move. I want to live a different life. I want to chase my dream. I want to do something, change, get away from the life that I'd been living. I knew I had to change. I knew I had to do something different. No more coke, suicidal ideation, living in insecurity, fear, doubt, not living my best life, not living in my purpose, just working for the government, Monday to Friday, government job. I knew that there was more. Okay. Someone wrote something about, don't bash on the people that work 9 to 5. Everybody needs a job. Man, everybody makes assumptions. I'm just here sharing what I'm offering, what I do. And if you just so want to become a coach, guess what? I can teach you how. You want to make 10K more than that a month? I'll teach you how. You want to build your social media platforms? I'll teach you how. You don't have to listen to my podcast. You don't have to work with me. And I ain't judging you for working whatever job you work. All I'm here to do is bring your attention to, are you happy? Are you living in your purpose? Do you enjoy what you're doing? Because why wouldn't I remind you of, hey, you don't have to keep working in that job that you hate for the rest of life. Okay? And the reason why I'm able to speak like that is because I was unfulfilled. I was working in jobs I wasn't enjoying. And I was wondering, I wonder what would it feel like if I actually found something that I enjoyed doing. Actually, I had a call today and I can't remember exactly what the person said, but she asked me a question. She said, where does all your energy come from? Where's the energy and the inspiration, or like, how do you keep up this high vibe energy? And I'm like, and it's funny because I was and in a moment I was like, oh, that's an interesting question. And then I finished off the answer by saying, when you do what you love, you'll never work a day in your life. And I know that was a pretty hard jab, it's a pretty like deep, protruding thorn to just go, because do I work? Of course. Have a routine, I answer emails, I get on calls with people. I'm hustling, but it's much better hustling. It's much better freaking, working from wherever I want to work. It's much better being able to travel whenever I want to travel. It's much easier being financially free. It's much easier helping people from all over the world doing what I'm good at, what I enjoy. It's much easier than to be dreading getting up in the morning and going, now another day. Oh, can't wait till Friday. I used to have those weeks, ladies and gentlemen. It would be Wednesday. I'd be like, another 2 days. Come on. Can't wait till Friday so I can get some Coke. Call some friends over so we can get high. Give me some alcohol so I can get high. And get hammered for the next 3 days. And then not show up to work on Monday, even Tuesday. Get back to work on Wednesday. Make it to Friday and do it all again. Let's go. That was life. Fuck yeah, Wednesday. Oh my gosh. Tuesday was the worst because it was the furthest away from Friday. Had to wait such a long time for the weekend so we can get hammered again. So, like, this is life, man. You know what I mean? Like, it's up to you. Don't bash on me for inviting people to get out of jobs that they're not happy about and going, hey, like, I'm just sharing my story, that once upon a time I was stuck in a rut. Once upon a time I was in debt. Once upon a time I got rejected time and time again from every girl that I was trying to be with. Once upon a time I was left feeling not enough. Once upon a time I had suicidal ideation. Once upon a time I was snorting cocaine all the time. Once upon a time I was not living my dreams. And I decided, you know what? I'm going to make a change. Is that okay? It's a pretty cool song, Michael Jackson. Gonna make a change for once in my life. It's gonna feel real good. It's gonna make a difference. Gonna make it right. You heard that song, haven't you? Yeah. That's all I did. I said, hey, you know what? I'm going to make a change in my life. I'm going to learn to love myself. And I freaking tell you, ladies and gentlemen, and I've told you 50,000 times before on the Luke Mind Power podcast, on this podcast, I've told you, self-love will answer all of your questions. You want to live your dreams? Learn to love yourself. What is it going to do? It's going to give you confidence. What else is it going to do? It's going to heal your childhood trauma, which for most of us is the reason why we're stuck and why we're functioning from some sort of way that isn't bringing us peace. So figure that out, and then you'll figure out your life. And that's all I help people with. But as I digressed, and I was talking about self-help junkie and all that kind of stuff. So 2018, I had to make some changes. And so I went down this path of figuring out how to start a gym, how to start a business. I never had my own, I had a business when I was 21. I got in debt like 20, 30,000 because I was spending all the cash. I was like, money's coming in. I was like, yeah, let's go out. 6 months later, I do all the books with my brother-in-law and I'm in debt 20 grand. I had to get a loan from my sister to pay the money, pay the bank, And so that was a failure, but that was the journey there where I was like, okay, if I'm going to open a gym, how do I? And guys, please listen, if you're thinking about this, you're at this place in your life, how do you get more information? All I did is I went on YouTube and I was like, how to start my own business, how to open a gym, And so I ended up making up a name for this gym. It's called Red Fit Pump. If you go on Twitter, you'll find it. It's still there. I opened the account back in 2018. It was called Red Fit Pump. And so it was supposed to be like a group fitness gym. And it's funny that I've talked about this before, but something interesting seems to happen. And I'd like you to pay attention as well to your life and to the things that are happening in your life, because what's going to happen is the things that you speak will manifest. That's why be impeccable with your word. Be careful what you speak because it will materialize because you're programming yourself with it. So one thing that I was planning to do was open a gym. I've never actually got about to doing that, but funny enough, watch, I bet you in the next 5 years, I'll open a gym. So it was supposed to be a group fitness gym where you come as a group, like you have class times or something, and we all train together, you know? And that was the model that I was going for. And so I was doing some research on YouTube, and then I came about a roadblock. What was the roadblock? Well, as much as I was excited, man, I was going around all over Sydney, signing up to all these functional fitness training centers or gyms, getting a free pass, going and researching how do they do their gym like workouts and how do they like all that stuff. And so basically I got to a roadblock because I realized that if I was going to do this, that I would have to lead, I would have to speak, and I would have to stand and present and facilitate in front of people. And that was the moment where I realized I had a problem. Can you guess what the problem was? Some of you guessed, some of you didn't. Yes, it was the fear of public speaking. It was the fear of judgment. It was the fear of being in front of people and communicating. And this was a fear for me for many, many years. It was something I was just afraid of. There's always been that awareness of people looking at me and me blushing and going red, and I would feel intimidated. I'm very sensitive, very empathetic. I would say I'm an empath. I feel people's energy. And so anytime that I would not look at myself, but anytime, for example, we have like meetings at work, I remember, having a chance to say something and putting my hand up. And then as I would start to talk, I would start to blush, and I would feel very insecure. I would feel very unsafe, and I would feel people looking at me, and I would feel unsafe. I would feel uncomfortable. Can you relate to that? Have you ever experienced that before? So I never had this level of confidence where I could just be myself without being concerned about who was looking at me. So that also went down to a place of self-consciousness, because growing up as a child, as a young lad, teenager, from 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, very, very lanky and skinny. And the names I was called and how I was bullied, and this whole emphasis of, me having to put on weight, me being so skinny, me being so lanky, became one of my greatest adversaries, because it was programming my mind to understand and know that there's something wrong with me. I'm constantly being judged. I'm constantly being looked at. I'm not accepted. I'm not lovable, which led to the problems in the rejections of my relationships as well, because I had a belief of that I'm not lovable. So then I would overextend myself and people please and give of myself so much because I wanted to feel love. I wanted to be lovable. I wanted someone to love me. Praise God. Thank you, Jesus, that my beautiful wife, if you're listening to this after the 5th of July, then it's my wife, not my fiance, which is such a blessing. And thank God that now, I never gave up on love, and I took a break, and I took a 5-year break to have a relationship with myself and to grow and evolve and to become successful, so that now I could actually attract a healthy relationship and someone that loves me for who I am, and that I'm never, ever, ever, and I'm never, ever too much for her. No matter how much I love her, no matter how much I give to her, she's able to love me back. She's able to receive it. And that's why I always say that you'll never be too much for the right person. And if you haven't met that right person, maybe you haven't met yourself yet. I told you at the beginning of this podcast episode that this episode was going to change your life. And I know that through my storytelling and through what I'm sharing with you and through this time that you're spending with me, that this episode will change your life. And maybe it'll change more people if you decide to share this episode. Maybe you're watching on Facebook or Instagram or YouTube or TikTok, wherever you're listening. Share this with someone, because this episode will change their life too. And so this was a part of my insecurities of being so self-conscious about what I looked like. And so then I had so much fear built up in me that I couldn't even communicate in front of people. So how am I supposed to open a gym when I'm afraid to stand up in front of people and facilitate and lead and communicate? So that was the first block. So I decided that I was like, well, I've got to invest in myself. Well, am I willing to invest in myself? Am I willing to pay for a program that I can work through that's going to help me to become a better version of myself? So the first program I invested in was a program called Unblock Your Abundance Blocks. It was $1,000, 1,000 US dollars. The second one was to become a fitness coach because I thought to myself, before I move to Poland, I'm going to go to some fitness academy in Sydney, Australia, and I'm going to start to become a personal trainer or a fitness instructor. So I paid $5,000 for that. And then funny enough, I kept watching. I didn't know what I was doing, ladies and gentlemen. Like, stop thinking that you have to be perfect and you have to know. Sometimes you just need to make some investments because you need to get into the movement and get into the flow of taking action, you know? So I made those investments because I was serious about change, And I know a lot of you as well, when you start taking action, you do like 3 or 4 different things at the same time because you're like, I'm going to do this. I'm excited. I'm going to do this. I'm going to invest in this. Right. And sometimes we don't know what's right for us. We're just trying to do something, and give yourself some credit if that's you for trying. Give yourself some credit for investing in yourself and knowing that maybe these courses or programs maybe they're not going to be for you. But the fact that you're doing something means it's going to lead you to where you need to go. Right. And so those were the first 2. And then I was watching YouTube one day and I came across a Mind Valley ad so that I could, but I was watching this, and it was about a speaker called Lisa Nichols. And it was a program about helping you to own your voice and own your story. And it sounded interesting to me. And I was like, oh, this seems like something I need to watch. So I signed up for the webinar, and it was a 40-minute webinar. And I watched the 40 minutes, and by about 20 minutes, I knew that I wanted to do it, but I was worried about the price, because I was like, oh my gosh, like I've just spent so much money on these other programs. Will I be able to afford this? And amazingly enough, I got to the end and I was like, oh my goodness, I can afford it. And it was a non-negotiable. Like, it was a no-brainer. Like, I was like, that's my block. My block is the fear of public speaking. It was communication. It was being seen. I know it was so much more than that, but I knew I had to do something about it. I had to do something about it. If I kept allowing fear to control me, then I would not be doing this podcast. I would not be a motivational speaker. I would not have live events all over the world. I would not be who I am today. So as soon as I started doing that program, and why I'm sharing this all with you guys is because I'm just trying to give you an understanding of like, how much did I invest in myself to get me here? Like, how many courses and programs, like how much do you really need to do, you know? And so I'm just going to share with you, so you got an understanding and appreciation that, for some people it's different. For some people, they can keep doing things deeper. I'm sure, of course, there's more things I could be doing for sure. But again, it's up to you to get to this level of like, how much is enough for me? When do I feel like I'm in control of my life, and when I can, really take the reins? So for me, it was this 32-day program. It was 32 days, like 1 month speaking program on a Facebook group. Like, I did it, and it was the foundation really of my success. As I told you earlier, self-love is the secret to success. And this program taught me how to love myself. It brought me back home to myself, and the importance of practicing having a good relationship with yourself, with who you see in the mirror, because the world had defined me. I wasn't myself. I was what the world said I was. I believed what the world said I was and looked like, So their judgments became what I was programmed with. And so mentally, I'd never felt confident. Mentally, I never felt worthy. Mentally, I felt unlovable. Mentally, in my mind, I wasn't enough. So it was up to me to reprogram my mind and change that belief system and unlearn all that, you know? And that's why they say, you'll never heal in an environment that made you sick. Yeah. I told you this podcast is going to change your life. You'll never heal in an environment that made you sick. So why did I leave Australia? Why did I off everyone who was in my life? Why did I leave everything that I ever knew? Because I knew that I couldn't heal in an environment that made me sick. So for those of you that are afraid, I don't want to leave my family. I don't want my friends to judge me. I don't want to lose all the people I've known all my life. Well, keep going the way you're going because you're going to lose yourself. And I was done, I had enough of losing myself. I had enough of not having my own back. I had enough of being in my own way. I had enough of this I'm my own worst enemy. Can your own worst enemy bullshit out of the window. I'm my own worst enemy. What a load of these are the stupid things we tell each other and we tell ourselves. And then we get into this spiral of complaining about how life is just not working out for us. When really there's just a few adjustments that need to be made and all of a sudden you're on your way again. And I know that it can feel like a long shot. You're in a really tough place right now, possibly. But like I said, it's just some fine tuning. It's just a few adjustments and all of a sudden you're living a better life. And then your life starts getting better and better and better and better. So my environment is what made me sick. So I decided to change my environment. And when I changed my environment, I changed my life. And so that took me on a journey of surrounding myself with new people, like-minded people that were into personal development, that were into becoming a better version of themselves, that were into growing in self-confidence and self-love. And then I went to another, I was invited from being in that program. One of the ambassadors said, "Hey, Luke, would you like to come and speak in Los Angeles in March or April 2019? So I went. I came back to Australia after that. Then I went back to Chicago for 3 months. Then I signed up. Actually, before I signed up to Lisa Nichols, I went to her 2-day or 3-day event in San Diego. And then from the stage, I signed up to her Speakers Mastermind program, which was a 3.5-day event with 20 people, where I spent those days with Lisa herself, and she taught us how to speak, inspire, stand up in front of people, and personally critiqued our work, That was transformational, So I made another investment in myself with that. And then when I came back, I went to China. I lived in China for 3.5 years. I lived in the Shaolin Temple, learning Kung Fu, and I learned a lot about personal development, spirituality, meditation, self-awareness, how your body you are your own best doctor. Your body heals itself. I learned about energy. So that was a big investment in myself, living in China. And then when I came back, but I'm just talking about what are the things that I did to become better, And so that was pretty much, 2020. I came back from China. Then I signed up to Tony Robbins and Dean Graziosi Knowledge Broker Blueprint. That was $5,000. I did their program. I did about 60% of it. And then I started my own coaching program a year later, which is still running now, SPMM. Shout out to all the SPMM listeners, old alumni, clients that have done the program. Shout out to everyone who's listening that's in the program right now. Keep going. You're amazing. I'm so proud of you. But after that, the only things then I invested in once I started coaching was a business coach. And I haven't stopped investing in that. So I still have someone who I invest in, who helps me to grow my business and teaches me new strategies and techniques and systems and processes so that I can scale my business and so that I can employ more people and I can help more people. So I have a team now, which is pretty amazing. But just to give you an overview, that was the overview of like, okay, what did I do? Speak and Inspire, Knowledge Broker Blueprint. I traveled to America. I lived in Chicago, went to Speakers Mastermind with Lisa Nichols, went to China, and then I came back. And then I started my coaching program, started my own business, and then here I am. So, I'm not sitting around here continuously doing programs. Like, I did a fair share of work to be able to help me, to grow confidence, and then realizing that, wow, I have a lot to give. I have a story, I have a voice, I have life experience, I have a lot of wisdom, I have a lot of relationship experiences, personal relationship experiences, a lot that did not work out the way that I thought they would. They say rejection is God's protection, rejection is God's redirection. And if I had known that, wow, I would have felt so much better. But no, I had to go through those experiences to feel the pain. And that pain became my power. And is the power and the passion that I still have today because of the life that I wasn't living for so many years. And the pain of rejection, the pain of not feeling good enough, the pain of not feeling seen and heard and validated and understood and loved and appreciated, the pain. And that is the pain and the passion that I exude when I speak. And I was actually interested and wondering, I wonder if when I'm in a healthy relationship, or I wonder if things are going to change now that I'm with the love of my life, my beautiful, as I said, whenever you depends, fiance, wife. Because I was like, I'm so peaceful, I'm so grounded, I love her so much. And I'm so grateful to God for bringing her to me, and I'm so glad that I never gave up on love, because it really is it's the hero's story, where you feel like they're down and out, nothing's going their way, they keep getting rejected, it keeps going the opposite way, it's not working out, and then you go on this journey of solitude and self-exploration. And I remember before I met my fiance, I went through a moment there where I went on dating apps and, I had this experience and I was just like, come on, man. I was like, when the am I going to meet this person? I'm 39. I was like, I remember having this conversation with myself and I was just like, this is bullshit. Like, how can I have all these followers on social media? Like, all these people follow me and I still haven't met that person. Like, bullshit. This is not right. Like, I was going through a moment there and I became quite disappointed in myself, because I was like, why is this happening to me? And little did I know that I was literally 2 months away from meeting her, and even when I met her, I didn't know that I'd met her, and I mean, I knew there was something there, but like, I wasn't like jumping over the bridge straight away and going, you know what I mean? So, but the point I'm trying to make is that now that I'm, happily married in this relationship, and yeah, I thought that my point I'm trying to make is that I thought that like I would calm down on the podcast, like Luke would be like, oh, you don't have to scream anymore. Like you're living your dreams, like you're in this relationship and all this kind of stuff. You know, but actually, nah, man, like this is me, I love screaming, I love being passionate. I love to speak the way I do. It's just in my nature. It's who I am, and it's something that's just something that I really am excited about, when I'm in my flow state and, God's in control, like the Holy Spirit's working through me. I ain't sitting around going, oh, better be quiet. Don't be too loud. You don't know who's listening. Maybe one of your family members is watching or some story. There's no story, guys. It's just the Spirit and you. Because I don't sit here and plan all this stuff, what I'm going to talk about. It just flows. I trust myself. I trust that when I turn the mic on, turn the camera on, press record, let's go, the right message is going to flow. So, ladies and gentlemen, once again, thank you for your time. Thank you for being here with me. Thank you for showing up. If you want to become a coach, you want me to teach you everything that I know about having an online business, all you got to do is click the link below and I'll reach out to you and we'll have a chat and see if you're the right fit. There is an application to go through, so fill out that application and then, of course, if you are the right fit, well, bam, maybe we'll be working together, and I can't wait to help you to escape the rat race, as we call it, the 9 to 5, the rat race. I used to be driving and I used to watch everybody sitting in their cars, listening to the radio and like driving 2 hours to work and 2 hours back. I'm like, man, that's 4 hours of 4 hours of time every day, and if you're not listening to some sort of motivation or podcast or inspiration or something like that, then you're wasting so much time. And that's a lot of the investment I also made in myself when I was a driver. I was a chauffeur driver. I used to drive a van and pick up airline pilots, but I used to also, when I was on the road, listen to podcasts and inspirational videos by Les Brown, and I would motivate myself every day. So I use that time very wisely, which has also helped me to become who I am. So if you're someone who is doing that drive every morning, 1 hour or 2 hours every morning to work and back, please do yourself a huge favor. Make sure you're listening to a podcast or something inspirational, because you can really use that time. But like I said, guys, if you want to be a coach, if you want to be a certified life coach, I'll take you through my certification program. I'll teach you everything that you need to know about social media. I'll teach you everything you need to know about becoming a life coach and starting your own coaching program. I'll actually give you the blueprint to my 20-week coaching program. You won't even have to create your own one because I'll give it to you. And there's so much more involved as well. But if you make it to a call with me, then I'll explain everything else to you as well. Okay, so all you have to do is click the link below, fill in your application, and if we do have availability, then maybe I'll be speaking with you soon. So anyway, guys, I'll see you on the next episode. Please don't give up on yourself, and make sure you share this podcast episode with your friends, because somebody will change their life if you do. I'll see you soon. Bye.